Good morning, ma'am. I am Bhargavi from ECE department and I am holding a roll number 234G1A0421 and the topic is semiconductors. Here contents are introduction, types, example and conclusion. Introduction. Semiconductors are materials which have a conductivity between conductors and non-conductors or insulators. Semiconductors can be compounds such as gallium, arsenide or pure elements such as germanium or silicon. Physics explains the theories, properties and mathematical approach related to semiconductors. Here the diagram which represents the semiconductors in that shells are the nucleus and electrons. All materials are made up of atoms. These atoms contribute to the electrical properties of materials, including its ability to conduct electrical current. For purpose of discussing electrical properties, an atom can be represented by the valence shell and a core that consists of all inner shells and the nucleus. The concept is illustrated in figure 126 or carbon atom. Carbon is used to some types of electrical resistors. Types: intrinsic semiconductors and extrinsic semiconductors. Intrinsic semiconductors: an intrinsic semiconductor, also called a pure semiconductor, undoped semiconductor or I-type semiconductor, is a conductor without any significant dopant species present. The number of charge carriers is therefore determined by the properties of the material itself instead of amount of impurities. Next, extrinsic semiconductors. In one that has been doped, during manufacture of a semiconductor crystal, a trace element or chemical called a doping agent has been incorporated chemically into the crystal for the purpose of giving it different electrical properties than the pure semiconductor crystal, which is called an intrinsic semiconductors. There are two types of extrinsic semiconductors: N-type extrinsic semiconductor and P-type extrinsic semiconductor. N-type of a semiconductor is created by adding prevalent impurities in the semiconductors material like silicon and germanium. These prevalent impurities can be phosphorus, antimony and arsenic. These impurities contribute free electrons, greatly increasing the conductivity of an intrinsic semiconductor. In N-type material, there are electron energy levels near the top of the bond gap so that they can be easily excited into the conduction bond. In this case, electrons are majority carriers and holes are minority carriers. In N-type semiconductors, once again in this case, electrons are majority carriers and holes are minority carriers. Here the diagram which explains the N-type semiconductors. Here arrow shows the unbonded free electron donated by a pentavalent atom. Pentavalent means 5 valency, which is having 5 valency. P-type semiconductors is created when trivalent elements are used to dope pure semiconductors like silicon and germanium. As can be seen in the image above, when the trivalent atom takes place of the silicon atom, 3 of its electron bonds with the 3 neighboring silicon atoms. However, there is no electron to bond with the 4th silicon atom. Lastly, conclusion. Semiconductor devices are called such because they are neither permanent conductor nor insulators. These devices maintain a balance between both the properties of conductors and insulators and allow partial passing to flow of electron through it. Thank you, madam, for listening my presentation. And once again, my name is Bhargavi and my roll number is 234G1A0421. I am from ECE department, A section. Thank you, ma'am.